Okay, it looks like we are live. Thanks to everyone who is joining us or who is watching this replay. We are going to be looking at a lot of German Notgeld. This is paper money that was issued. Most of these are from 1923. There might be a few here I see, like this one here and this one that are 1922. That's when the inflation times really started to pick up, was in 1922. And then by 1923, you had notes like this that were 50 trillion marks. And actually, it looks like a billion, right? But that is in German eine Billion. And eine Billion is the German word for a trillion. The word for 1 billion in German is eine Milliarde. So it starts off kind of the same as in English. Eine Million is a million, but then a billion is a Milliarde, and then a trillion is eine Billion. And what we have in this auction are a lot of trillion notes. These are the highest denomination, and these are very rare. They were kind of like a flash in the pan. And I know a lot of people think of the inflation times in Germany as this time when people used wheelbarrows full of money and that kind of a thing. But actually, these were extremely rare, and there were not all that many issued. These were issued by individual cities, and they were really only valid in those cities and only for a very brief period. So nobody was carrying around wheelbarrows of these. The wheelbarrows would have been filled with the normal German banknotes, the nationally issued banknotes. And they were often called Reichsbanknoten. Reich means empire in German. And so das Deutsche Reich was the German Empire that existed until right before the end of World War I, when the Kaiser abdicated, and that began the Weimar Republic. And Weimar, of course, is famous for the inflation. And that inflation ended at the end of 1923 with the complete collapse of the mark. But along the way, they produced some of the finest, most interesting banknotes in history, and we're going to go through a lot of those today. There are about 120 auctions that will be ending this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, on eBay. I did put the link in the chat. That is ebay.com/str/Elkader auction. And Elkader, that's the name of our auction house. We're in Elkader, Iowa. So the eBay user ID is just Elkader auction. And that will take you to this site right here. If you go to ebay.com/str/Elkader auction. And I like to look at auctions like this. I've been on eBay for a long time, and if this is a review for some of you, if you know eBay pretty well, then sorry about that. But here's what I like to do. So when you get to the store, it's going to have these listings, but this is not really like a good way to check out all these auctions. And a lot of what you're seeing now are actually the ones ending next weekend, and those are very colorful. We'll try to do another live stream next week to talk about some of those, but right now we're going to talk about these ones that are ending soon. And if you click on any of these, actually, it'll pull this little screen up right here, and you just click on View All Details, and then you're in the listing for that one. But what's really nice is if you click here on Seller's Other Items, then what you can do is you can hit this sort button and you can go to Ending Soonest. This is what I think, the power users are already doing. I would assume this is what I always do. And as you can see, there are 228 results. So that's actually going to be increasing because we have new auctions going live as I'm doing this. But these are the ones that are ending soon. This one has just under 2 days left. You can see right here, 1 day and 23 hours left on this, and that's going for actually much lower than I'm sure it will. A lot of people wait till the end to bid, but with this many auctions and the amount of research that you have to do, I would recommend getting some of those bids in early, or using maybe like a sniping service like eSnipe or Auction Sniper. Those are great if you want to be a sniper. But sometimes it's nice just to get those bids in early because, these end like 1 minute apart, right? You see this? The first one ends at noon on Saturday, and then the very next one at 12:01, and the next one at 12:02. So these end 60 seconds apart. So if you're going to be bidding on these at the last second, you got to be fast. So what we have here, if we want to just take these in order, I'm going to go through these. Again, if you have any questions, drop them in the chat, and you can always contact us. And you can also use the contact form at our website, elkaderauctionhouse.com. Just click on contact right there. We're always available. You can also give us a call, the phone number, and there's a number of ways to contact us on there. So the first one here is a very interesting overprint note. And we'll just go ahead and click on this one. So what we've got is an overprint note. If you notice, it says 5 Mark on the note itself, but then you've got this black overprint right here that says 100 Mark, right? And it's redenominated 100 marks. And what this is a 1918 note for 5 marks. But then due to the inflation, this note was overprinted and reissued in 1922, as you see here, with a new denomination of 100 marks. And this was all done by the city of Gera, G-E-R-A, Gera. That is the city that issued these. Notgeld is generally issued by cities, and as you can see, they copied over on the reverse over the 1918 date. And what's really special about this one is that it has this Series B right here. As you can see that before the serial number, there's a Series B, and that is a substantially higher value note. This is actually, a pretty valuable note. You may have seen these before with the overprint, but it's unlikely that you've seen them with the B. That is a very rare find. This is a very special note. And a lot of the notes that you're going to be seeing here are very special. These are not something like you're going to find in your average Notgeld collection, right? This is a very special auction, pretty much all the way through. So we're going to go through these and check them out. Here's another beautiful one with something very special about it. We've got the red serial number, which makes this even more valuable. But really, the beautiful art, let's just make that bigger. That is something really special. That's one of the great things about Notgeld, is that the art is just really some of the finest that has ever existed on banknotes. And that was something that the cities tried to do because they wanted people to collect it rather than deposit it or turn it in, and if they were collecting it, hoping that it would be worth more as a collectible. And it really was the world's first banknote collecting craze. So this is a 1922 note. We've got these hand signatures here. This is from the city of Traunstein. Traunstein, 1922, so this is early inflation. And Traunstein is in Bavaria. But again, this just beautiful artwork here, and this is already a rare note, but what makes it even rarer and very special is, again, the red serial number. And this, like the last one, is considered a 1922 inflation note. And there's a very good catalog by an author with the last name Müller, that has all the 1922 inflation notes, and that's actually a very nice catalog. There's a series of catalogs. They are in German. That's one of the things about Notgeld is it's tough to find a catalog in English. I mean, there's some stuff out there like a checklist from Courtney Coughing and other things, but there's not really a good catalog in English. And there are many catalogs actually for the different kinds. There was so much issued. This is just a huge area to collect, and so. The 1922 early inflation Notgeld has its own catalog, and that series is just called Deutsches Notgeld. The series of catalogs that's really the best, and is published by Gietl, Gietl. I highly recommend that whole series of catalogs, and that's where I get that information from. The fact that this is rarer and more valuable, with that red serial number, the fact that it's a more valuable note. And so if you're going to collect Notgeld, you definitely want to have the catalogs. Like they say, buy the book before the coin. You should also buy the book before the note. And moving on here, this is a very special one. We're getting into the trillion notes now. This is the highest denomination issued by the city of Duisburg. And this is a 50 trillion mark note. It is, let's see, I guess we have it in about uncirculated condition. Due to the age spots, you can't really see them here. It probably actually, if you had it graded, would grade an uncirculated grade, but I like to be conservative with the grading, and so if I say, I don't usually ever call anything uncirculated when it comes to Notgeld, because there's almost inevitably some type of small flaw, considering that it's 100 years old and printed on wartime paper and that kind of a thing. But as you can see, there are just some little age spots here, but there's no real circulation or folds. And that's just because this is over 100 years old and, again, printed on probably very poor paper, that, and this would have lost its value very quickly. It looks like this is September 1923 that this was printed, and again, even by the beginning of December, the German mark was pretty much done, and by the end of December, it had actually ended officially. So 50 trillion wasn't a whole lot, but it is awesome to have a trillion note in your collection. And this, again, is a 50 trillion. The highest note that ever really was issued and circulated, I think, was a 100 trillion. There were a couple that were higher that weren't ever really circulated, and even some of the 100 trillion notes, 100 trillion mark notes, never really were issued. It was like the numbers were going up and the value was going down so quickly that by the time they had printed them, they weren't even worth using. And so there was like a 200 trillion mark note that was printed but never issued. And I think even like a 1,000 trillion note that maybe only one copy exists in like the state or the city museum or something like that. But as far as issued notes, 100 trillion was the highest that ever existed. And for this city, 50 trillion is still very high. So, and the 100 trillion, I mean, you're not going to find one out there. We might have one coming up in a future auction, but you want to get that when you can. Here's the 1 trillion mark from the city of Duisburg. I think this one is in, yes, this is actually, when I say AU/UNC, that means it's probably uncirculated, but I just, in case there's some little tiny flaw that I've missed, I don't want to say UNC because some people might think, oh, it's perfect, right? But almost nothing that old is going to be absolutely 100% flawless. And so, at a bare minimum, it is about uncirculated. But if I spot any flaws at all, then I call it AUNC or AUNC plus. That's just a little guide to my grading system, I suppose. If you are not familiar actually with grading, there's an excellent resource for grading paper money that you can get online free, either from PMG, which is one of the grading services, or PCGS. If you just type in PMG grading scale into Google or PCGS grading scale into Google, they both have fairly similar but actually different descriptions of what each grade means. And I try to be very careful. So it might actually be a little higher than what I say, but hopefully it won't be lower because I don't want to make a mistake like that and misrepresent anything for you. Here we have a 5 trillion mark note. This is again from the city of Duisburg. Very nice. AUUNC. Exceptional condition here. These are just beautiful, beautiful trillion mark notes, 100 years old. These are just, the pinnacle of the inflation notes. If you look in the catalogs for inflation notes, the trillion notes are always the most expensive. They are always the most sought after. And in fact, they have their own catalog. That's what's so nice about the trillion notes. For most of the inflation Notgeld, there hasn't been a new catalog since 1958. But for the trillion notes, because they are so sought after, there have actually been 2 catalogs now that I know of. There was the Kai Lindman catalog that I think was like 2001. I might be wrong. And then there's the more recent one that I don't even have yet, but I will be getting because it's by Diesner, and he's the one that wrote the 1914 catalog for the Gittel Verlag series, and that is just a glorious catalog. He's absolutely one of the very best catalog authors, and so I actually just found out that one has come out, so I will definitely be getting that new Diesner trillion note catalog. That is very exciting. Here we have Langenfeld. This is a very rare note, as you can probably tell just from the low serial number. Now, nobody had wheelbarrows full of these, let me tell you what. In fact, you probably can't find another one. There might be one or two for sale somewhere in the world, but this is not at all common. I doubt it, though. I bet if you did a Google search for these, you could not find another one of these for sale. And then here we have another 1922 inflation note. Very rare. Now, some of these are in areas that are part of Poland today, and this is one of them. Primkanał is how you say it in German. I apologize that I don't know how to speak Polish. So I'm just going to point out that this is the name of the city today. And it's probably, the PRZ sound is probably something like almost like a SH sound or something. From what I've heard, other people try to pronounce these like Przemysl or something like that. But yeah, again, I will try to learn Polish pronunciation, but I haven't yet. I apologize. This is an extremely rare high value note issued by the Herzogliche. That's the like ducal, as in like a duke, right? A Herzog is a duke. So we might use the term royal. So Eisen is iron, and that's just the name of the company. And as you can see, it looks like it's issued by, like at a place. Normally this would be where you'd put the name of the town that it's from, where it says Henriettenhütte. And a Hütte is like a foundry. See that there? Henriettenhütte. Lower Silesia. Niederschlesien is lower, or Silesia, I guess we're supposed to pronounce it as. Niederschlesien. But Henriettenhütte would be the Henrietta foundry. And that's not actually a town. That's just like an actual foundry. And so this is from the town of Primkanał, which is today Szemkał, or whatever, however you say that. And in any case, it's a very beautiful note. If you look at the reverse, it has that one middle fold, but otherwise very, very nice. So I would say this is a solid, about uncirculated grade with just that one not very heavy fold. Beautiful note, very high catalog value in that 1922 Müller catalog. And now another trillion note from Kitzingen in Bavaria. Beautiful note. Very fine condition, so we do have, probably somewhere in that 4 to 7 fold range, but still very beautiful. Very fine is great. And that's the thing about inflation notes. These really circulated, when you find an uncirculated inflation note, that is really something. That is a beautiful note, a high value note. And again, if you have any questions about these, drop them in the chat, or if you're watching the replay, just contact me through alcaterauctionhouse.com. My name is Jesse. And here we have another rare one, I believe also from Bavaria, Partenkirchen. And this is a 10 trillion mark note. Again, a very rare note, not the kind of thing you will just see or find in your average collection. Beautiful, beautiful note. You can tell by the serial number alone that this is an exceptionally rare note. There were not many of these issued. And the only reason that I'm even able to offer this to you is, just that I've been collecting for so long. And I have some of the very best. Before we were Alcater Auction, I was in business for over 10 years as Notgeld Market. And I have a lot of history selling these notes, familiarity with them. And this is not the kind of thing you're going to find somewhere else. Here we have a 1 trillion mark note from Neu-Ulm. Now this is, not an insanely rare note, but what it is conditionally rare, because you never find this note in such great condition. You might see a few copies out there, but check the condition and compare it with this one. And condition is everything when it comes to these. I've graded this one as AUNC+, and again, I've made that notation there, exceptional condition for this note, and that is absolutely the case. I think this is the finest of these that I have seen. And that is a 1 trillion mark note. Very rare. But not as rare as this one. Here we have Walze. A 10 trillion mark note. We've got this in about uncirculated condition here. Must be just the one fold there and just a little bit of handling. Again, a very low serial number indicates just how rare this is. These trillion mark notes, they were just, like I said, a flash in the pan. A flash in the pan, and they were gone. And the mark itself was gone, actually. The paper mark ended, and it was replaced by the Rentenmark in 1924. Moving on, we've got Langenschwalbach. This is in Hessen, not too far from where I was an exchange student in high school, because this is the Untertaunus Kreis, and I was an exchange student in Idstein im Taunus, so I know this area well. This is actually a beautiful example of this note, a very beautiful area. And that you see the Taunus Mountains there. Beautiful, beautiful note. That is about uncirculated condition, and these prices here, you better get your bids in now because it's worth a lot more than that. Teisendorf, 1 trillion. We've got this one in fine condition. We've got a nice low serial again. Now fine is still pretty nice, but it would have more folds than the very fine condition. I like to look at the back to really get an idea of the condition because the design kind of, obscures the level of folds and things. But still a beautiful and exceptionally rare note. Many of these have catalog values that are quite high. And now here's a really rare one. We have this one in extremely fine condition. And normally just one fold like that might be, or maybe there's kind of two folds right next to each other, would be about uncirculated. But it's a little bit heavier middle fold, so we're grading that extremely fine. And look at that serial number. That tells you everything you need to know. That and the very high catalog value. This 1 trillion mark note is just glorious. Good luck finding another one. And again, if you want to bid on these, go to ebay.com/str/Elkader auction. And you can see how it's spelled right there, Elkader auction, all one word. That's our eBay user ID. And we do take consignments if you have some very special world banknotes, or especially German Notgeld that you would like to consign. Here's a beautiful 5 trillion. Can you believe all of the trillion mark notes in this auction? This was from Schwandorf, and this is issued by a private company, Bayerische Braunkohlen. This is an exceptional note. I have sold one of these in the past, but it was quite circulated compared to this one. This is very special. Very special. A beautiful note. And as you can see here, the condition, no folds, just a couple of the small stains on the reverse, really very minor. That is a beautiful, beautiful note. I hope you're enjoying the preview. Again, if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat. And if you're watching the replay, go ahead and give me a message at elkaderauctionhouse.com. Just click on contact. Another trillion mark. Look at all these. We've got Geisling in here. Eine Billion, and it's got a hole punch here, which indicates a cancellation. That means that this was deposited and taken out of circulation. And we got this one in fine condition, another very rare, very high value note, just like Sonneberg here. Beautiful 1 trillion mark note. Look at this, AUUNC. That's what I say when other people would probably say UNC, but I'm just trying to be cautious. But I don't see any flaws here. That is just beautiful. And a very rare, very high catalog value note. And now we have some what I would consider to be just normal inflation Notgeld. This is not the trillion notes anymore, but it is high denomination stuff. The Phoenix Mining Company often has very beautiful graphics. As you can see, look at this one. Let's open that one up. Here we've got that beautiful image of the Phoenix, or as they would say, Phoenix, which is like a mining and foundry company. Bergbau- und Hüttenbetrieb. Let's make that bigger. Whoops. There we go. Look at that illustration on the note. Like I said, Germany and the German cities and the German companies just produce some of the most beautiful banknotes. This is the greatest area of banknote collecting. This is the birth of banknote collecting, really. The very first banknote catalogs, everything comes from this. The entire hobby was born with Notgeld. Banknote collecting began here. And here we have the Landesbank der Rheinprovinz. So when you see that word Land, or Landes, as in of the land, Landesbank, Bank of the Land, what they're really saying is it's a German state. And you've probably seen that if you're a banknote collector. You've seen German states. The problem is that it's a really random assortment of German states banknotes that are in the sort of standard catalog of world paper money specialized issues. So they, by far do not have all of the German states notes. But when you see something like Landesbank or anything with Landes in it or whatever, or Land, generally speaking, you're talking about a German state note. And so that's what we have here, is a state issued note rather than a city issued note. It is, the city of Dusseldorf is where it was issued, but that was, like the, place where it was issued, but not the issuing authority. The issuing authority was the state bank of the Rhine province. And those have that beautiful eagle design. Let's check out this one here. Very nice. And here's what the front of that looks like. Sometimes when the image on the reverse is so nice, I'll put that as the first image, and this is more like the business side. That's a very common thing with Notgeld, to have a beautiful image side and then more like the business side on the front. Here we have some more Rhine province, again with the beautiful eagle motif. These are all ending on Saturday. We're about halfway through. As you can see, I usually do 1 hour on Saturday from 12 to 1 Central Time, and then 1 hour on Sunday, also 12 to 1 Central. And that's when we do the Notgeld, generally most weekends. And it all starts at $1 with free shipping in the US, and only $5 unlimited shipping for international buyers. So it's a lot of fun. Even if you bid on a whole bunch of stuff, you don't have to worry, oh, what if I get outbid on everything but one? Am I going to get charged a whole bunch of shipping and just get one thing or something like that? Nope. Everything is free shipping. So like this one right here, beautiful, huge note. You could bid on this right now. You could probably, what does it say? If you place a bid, oh, I was going to say I need to sign in or something. Okay. Sorry. So yeah, I mean, you could bid on this right now and bid, a couple bucks or whatever. And that's all it would be if you win it. But you're probably going to get a bid because this is a beautiful note. But yeah, no fear, no worries, free shipping. And if you don't, feel like it was, up to your standards or there's something wrong with it, we do offer the free returns. Generally speaking, that never happens. But here we've got Elberfeld. Some beautiful notes there. And here we've got another Poland one. The city of Landeshut is today called, I don't know how you say that, Kamienna Góra or something in Poland. And this is a very rare note. As you can see, people are aware of its rarity already, having bid that up. Landau, very nice note. Another Landau. Now these are millions, here's 100 million. That's a very nice note from Lar. And now this is a really special one. This is, the condition's not spectacular here. I have it in VG, which is very good, but very good is lower than fine. But this is an incredibly rare note. And so what we've got here is, if you look on the front, it says 1000 is kind of hidden by this. And then there's this overprint. It says only the reverse, nur Rückseite. The Rückseite is like the reverse side, right? Only the reverse is valid. Gültig is valid, right? So if you look on the back, it's not 1,000 marks like this says 1,000. It's not. It's 100,000. This is the actual note here on the reverse. So that's a very interesting and exceptionally rare note. Extremely high catalog value. I recently did a video where I was comparing the catalog values of Notgeld to like the Danzig notes that are so valuable now, and something like this has a much, much higher catalog value than those Danzig notes, which everyone is paying thousands for. It's pretty hilarious, actually. But it's wonderful for us Notgeld collectors, isn't it? There's Kreuznach. It's a very long note right there. And again, these, this only has 2 days left, and you can get in and bid on that for remarkably little. These are very special notes here today. A lot of these are in very exceptional condition. This one's about uncirculated, just beautiful art. This is a 500 million mark note of Kreuznach. And then I do see this one, Konstanz in Baden. I believe that one is actually uncirculated. Yes, AUUNC. This is a beautiful, like, flawless note. Glorious imagery here. This is very special. And again, it's like the 1921 series notes. Those, a lot of people put in albums and collected. Those were meant for the collector's market. But these inflation notes were not. They were intended to circulate, and they didn't last very long. This is 100 billion, 100 Milliarden Mark, right? And so very quickly this would have been replaced by, a 500 Milliarden and then a trillion or whatever, and then it would have been done. So these circulated, but not for very long, and so they're extremely rare, and they're extremely rare to find uncirculated like this one is. So this is quite a find here. And again, just beautiful art. Königstein. Oh, there's another Taunus, very close to where I lived in Germany. Königstein im Taunus. In the Taunus Mountains, that area is like a really rich suburb of Frankfurt kind of area. I was very lucky to be an exchange student there. Beautiful, beautiful note there. And I think, yeah, that one's going to go for a lot. Here's Köln, Humboldt, Maschinenbau. That's a nice note. This one's very special. Here, check this out. So this is actually, look at that serial number, 53. This is a 20 mark note that was overprinted and it became 20 million. 20 Millionen. And here we have the overprint as well. They've even changed it from Notgeld to Gutschein. Gutschein, which means voucher, whatever. It's still Notgeld. Notgeld is just emergency money. Here we've got some Cologne notes that are very nice. Oh, and another Landeshut. This one is quite rare. My goodness. Look at that. So we have a 500 mark from 1922. You can see the original date right there. Let's blow that up a little. You have a 500 mark from 1922 that's been overprinted with 100 billion marks as the inflation progressed. And again, a very rare note. Exceptional catalog value there. It does have this tear here. Should mention that, but yeah, these inflation notes, they circulated, and good luck finding another one. Those are extremely rare. That one's not super rare there. The Leipzig Osnitz carpet factory, Teppichfabrik. Here we've got a Leipzig note. That's a huge note, very nice. And we're getting to about the last 10, I think, here. We've got Gotha, Köln, or Cologne, as we say in English. I think this one might be exceptional condition. Now, AUNC plus I've got this, so it's not quite perfect, but it's close. It's close. Yeah, I don't see any folds. If it had any folds at all, I wouldn't say AUNC plus. Those Leipzig notes with the overprint here, this one, that's actually pretty good condition for that note. And we're getting into the last few. Oh, here we've got some more trillions. Now, Buer is, these are not super rare compared to some of the other trillion notes, but they are in exceptional condition. And then finally, ooh, Frankfurt. Now, Frankfurt, of course, is a, very rich city, famous as the home of the European Central Bank, the German Stock Exchange, it's like the banker city or something, right? And here we have the 5 trillion mark. Now this one is listed in the standard catalog of world paper money specialized issues, and as you can see, I do have the catalog number here from that catalog. And that's because these are kind of quasi-federal or quasi-national banknotes. They were issued by the Reichsbahn. The Reichsbahn is the German railroad. So this was the Frankfurt sort of branch or whatever, Zweigstelle of the German railroad. So it is a quasi-federal issue, and it is in the standard catalog of world paper money specialized issues for that reason. And this is a very nice uncirculated 5 trillion mark in that nice old German script. Beautiful note. All right, let's move on to the next page. Okay, so now we're getting into the notes that end on Sunday at noon. And here we have this beautiful one. Let's check this out. I love this one. Why am I selling it? No, I'm just kidding. So here we have the Waldorf Astoria Zigarettenfabrik, cigarette factory. And this is the factory where the Waldorf schools began. They were called that because the very first Waldorf school, or the very first school, started by Rudolf Steiner. And if you don't know who Rudolf Steiner is, you should look him up because he is actually a very influential figure. And he started these Waldorf schools for the very first one was for the employees of this company, this Waldorf Astoria cigarette factory. And this is a very rare note and a very beautiful note too. And this is one where it was 10 million, but then it was overprinted and reissued, and it's very rare and expensive, or high value. And it is a 10 billion mark note now. And here's another Reichsbahn. Again, quasi-federal note that is listed in that standard catalog. And this is from the city of Kassel. Kassel is the home of the Brothers Grimm, and this is a glorious note. Beautiful condition. I love that symbol of the railroad with the wheel and the wings. As you can see on the reverse, it's really just, very much uncirculated. And here is a great train note, and we are getting into the train notes. I hope all the train collectors out there know about these. I tried to list them also in the railroad collectibles category for the train ones, and we've got some great train ones coming up. This is another Reichsbahn one, the German railroad, and it's a 10 trillion mark. So it's a train note and a trillion note, and extremely popular and sought after. Glorious condition here. Beautiful, beautiful note. And then here's another trillion note that is just spectacular. Look at that low serial number. Look at the condition. This is from the city of Erbach. We've got the hand signatures. Look at that condition. Just wonderful. And so it's 1 trillion or 1,000 billion. 1,000 Milliarden Mark. Now we're getting into the Henschel Sohn. Henschel and Son, however you want to say that. So these notes are incredible. And as I mentioned before, the inflation notes tended to be, circulated, right? And these are all, for the most part, uncirculated, but they do have like some, like a hinge remnant or some kind of tape remnant here. These must have been preserved way back, very close to the inflation times to have been kept in such great condition, but a lot of times they didn't use our modern practices. They didn't have museum grade currency sleeves or something like that, right? And so we do have these little marks on them. But if you look at, if you can even find another copy of some of these notes, which I highly doubt it, because like this one has a catalog value of 80 euros or something like that. So if you're able to even find another one, I doubt it. But if you do, it will almost certainly be circulated. I've seen these notes a few times, offered as collections like we have here sometimes, but they are almost always circulated, whereas these are beautifully uncirculated, and all they have is just that little mounting remnant. And there are a bunch like this. It's basically an intact collection is what we have here. And these are just glorious notes. They have some of the finest train artistry. I believe that these are the king of the train notes. All of these, they have just the finest train artwork you're going to find on a banknote. And these start at about 10,000 and they go all the way up to 1 trillion. Let's check these out. This one, I guess I meant to have the train image be first. There it is. That's 100,000. We started with the 10,000. Now we got the 100,000. Let's keep going. We got a 200,000. Beautiful note. Uncirculated except for that mounting remnant there. Just an incredible, incredible banknote. All of these Cassel ones. Now we're going up to 500,000. Oops. 500,000 mark. Beautiful note. Now we have the 1 million. Again, this is from the city of Kassel. That is the home of the Brothers Grimm, who are featured on the highest denomination note that was, in West Germany, the 1,000 mark. 1,000 Deutschmark. But this is a 1,000 mark note from, the Weimar Republic. And again, these are issued by a private company, Henschel Sohn, and they manufactured equipment like these trains, and I believe they also, during World War I, manufactured, large war machinery. But these are all, again, look at this mounting remnant, otherwise uncirculated. Beautiful, beautiful note. And if you want to, if you want one of these in uncirculated condition, some of the finest train notes ever to exist, this is probably about your only chance. If you're a train memorabilia collector, a railroad memorabilia collector, this is the holy grail as far as banknotes go, and trains. Here we've got 10 million marks, again, uncirculated except for that sort of older preservation method there. Now we're getting into 50 million marks. Beautiful train artwork. It just doesn't get any better than that when it comes to trains on money. And look, it keeps going. We're getting up to 100 million marks now. Still uncirculated except for that mounting remnant. The crowning achievement of any train or paper money collection. Beautiful. 500 million. We're getting up there now. I love that. Lokomotive Drache. Drache is a dragon. So it's a fire-breathing dragon, 1848. Maybe that was the first train they made from that company in Cassel, Henschel Sohn, the issuer of these notes. Now we're getting into the Milliarden, the billions. Here's a 20 billion, still uncirculated. Glorious, glorious train note. There's the Drache again. And there's the Gießerei, Gießerei. Gießen is to like pour, like pouring molten metal. So that would be the place where they poured the metal. So something like a foundry. And this one is very fine, and it is a 50 billion. It has a little bit more circulation, but still not that much. Very nice for this series. And we're getting up there because this is 100 billion, 100 milliarden. And this one is uncirculated. That's insane. What a glorious 100 billion mark note, train note. And what an opportunity to pick these up. Here we've got, wow, otherwise uncirculated. So it's got, yeah, just the mounting remnant, which you can barely see on the train side. 500 billion. So we're at 500 billion marks here. 500 billion mark train note. But that's not all. We've got one more to go. Look at this. These are ending on Sunday. That one's already up to 36, but it's going higher. There's only one of these that I could find on eBay, and it's listed for 1,100. This is the 1 trillion. This is the big boy. This will make your collection right here. Just a beautiful note. You can barely see the mounting remnant there on the train side, otherwise uncirculated. Incredible. I don't know if it's worth 1,100, but it's worth a lot. The market will decide. Only one person will be able to win this in about 3 days. So get those bids in. Don't miss out on the 1 trillion mark. 1 Billion mark. Henschel Sohn. Hyperinflation Notgeld banknote from Germany. Here's some more trillion notes here. We've got Teilfingen. That's 3 Billionen. That's 3 trillion. Haslach and a number of other cities. That's why I say et al, because it's issued, jointly by like 5 cities or something. And that one's only at $4. These are going a lot higher. Get your bids in now. Kaiserslautern. Of course, Kaiserslautern is very popular with a lot of Americans who were in the service. They remember it. Some of them call it K-Town. Have a lot of customers who have fond memories of drinking in Kaiserslautern. And we have a 1 trillion, a 5 trillion, and a 10 trillion. I believe these are all in spectacular condition. And this 10 trillion mark, if we look at this, it has this image of corporal punishment on the reverse. And this is a scene from 1514 where someone was up to mischief. I forgot the actual story. I apologize, but I don't think it was all that consequential, but it led to a good thrashing, I guess. It is a 10 trillion. 10 Billionen mark from Kaiserslautern. Here we have Bamberg. That is a 1 billion, 1 Milliarde. And Bamberg's very interesting. Their notes always had these little like poems and stories that are so great. And this is a little poem about the inflation, and it's very interesting. It says, "Hört ihr Herren und merket auf, 1 Milliarde beginne ich den Lauf. Ganz Frankreich," so France, ganz Frankreich zahlte 1,5 Milliarden. So all of France was once worth 5 billion, and here, this note right here is 1 billion marks. I won't subject you to the rest of it, but I personally love these notes from Bamberg and their little poems. Elberfeld. This is actually a very rare high catalog value note here. The condition's a little rougher on this, very good, but nice serial number too. Yeah, this is the first time I have ever sold or come across one of these. And I have handled and sold a lot of Notgeld. Same with this one. Never had another one of these. This is one of the hugest notes I've seen. It's actually, you can see this one. This is another huge banknote. Both of these are actually about the same size, and this one is, more people are familiar with this one. This one right here, the Marbach note, Marbacher Bank, is as big as this Bielefeld one. That is a very rare note there. Very nice. Condition is a little rough. Big notes tend to be, you gotta fold them. That wouldn't fit in anyone's wallet. And this is, a nice note. But a lot of people are more familiar with Bielefeld because it's so collectible and so beautiful. There's so many great notes from Bielefeld. And this one does have the intact talon, which was worth 20 marks, as well as the main note, which is worth 50 marks. So it's great when you have them still together like that. And it's got this great artwork on the reverse. I think we've got this one in about uncirculated. Yes, because it does have a little bit of circulation there. But otherwise, very nice. Rendsburg, Saint Milliarden, that's a nice note. Oh, and here we've got, look at that. That one's up to 51 already, and that's because Zoppot, if you're familiar with the Danzig notes, both of these are from Zoppot, which is part of Danzig, and they look exactly like the Danzig notes, so these are going to go for a lot. And in fact, they do say Danzig on them. If you look, let's see if I can find that spot. Yeah, right here. Westpreußen, right? Westpreußen, West Prussia in Danzig. Danzig, auf Deutsch. So that is more or less a Danzig note. As is this one. Again, we have Westpreußen, Danzig. And, of course, that's part of Poland today. So that's, cross-listed there in the Poland and the Germany category. Because it was, I don't know if it was Germany or if it was a free, city at the time of that issue. That's a good question. And we've got some more here. I don't want to skip over that one because that Constance note is actually very nice. That's a 1922 inflation note for 100 marks. Not super rare, but conditionally, that is great. Condition, and it's beautiful and large. And here we've got 1918 gross note and some interesting stuff. This one I think is actually likely a specimen because it's not listed in the catalog without a serial number, and I can't find another example. But the only catalog for inflation Notgeld, the one in 1958, if you read the preface, which is very long, but it's it's good to read that stuff if you're a collector and you speak German, I guess. In that preface, it does say that the author has specifically avoided trying to figure out what notes are specimens or including any of that information in the catalog, so it really is up to us to figure it out. But there is no version of this note listed as having a serial number. So it's either a specimen or a remainder, I suppose. But if it's rare enough that you're not going to find another one, then it's probably a specimen. Because remainders are just specimens that are more common, probably, really. And then, of course, this one's a beautiful note. Look at that. St. George slaying the dragon. That is a 5,000 mark early inflation note from Mannheim. That is issued by the Badische Bank. So this is a German state's note, right? It was issued by the state of Baden. Badische Bank. And so actually that one is in the standard catalog of World Paper Money specialized issues, and I guess I forgot to include the catalog number for that one. Apologize. These are incredibly rare high value notes. There's 2 of them here. So this could be your chance to get a really nice note cheap, because sometimes, when you have 2 of the same one, it doesn't go so high, but the catalog value is very high for these. Freital, nice note, but not super rare. These, however, from Erlangen, this one right here, and this one, the same note with the overprint, incredibly rare. Huge catalog value. The Reiniger, Gebert, and Schall. Here we have the 5 trillion, and then here we have, it's a 5 billion 5 Milliarden. And then here we have what is 500 billion or 500 billion overprint. Let's check that one out. Look at that. 500 Milliarden Mark overprint with the signatures there. Beautiful. A beautiful note. Condition's a little rough, but good luck finding another one when they're that rare. You know, much rarer than notes that, you know, if they were nationally issued banknotes would go for at least 5 figures. And this one's very special. This one's only at $1 right now, and this is nearly perfect. I guess there's a tiny pinhole I did find. I was thinking it was perfect, but when I really started, you know, digging into this one, there's like a tiny little pinhole right here in the margin, but otherwise that is an uncirculated note with this beautiful image here of Mercury. Is it the Roman god Mercury? The Greek form of Hermes or something like that. Here's a nice note from Gernsbach. Very nice condition, beautiful imagery, and it is 100 billion marks. And you know, even when they start getting up into those levels of 100 billion, that's when the catalog values start to really go up. When you even just start to get in the billions, and then in the trillions, they go crazy. Gelsenkirchen, that's a nice note, but probably nothing to write home about. This one, however, is in exceptional condition. This is from the city of Geldern, but it's actually issued by the Kreis. And the Kreis is more or less like a county in the United States. But what's really special here is the condition. I guess I have it as about uncirculated. There must be some kind of, you know, very imperceptible fold because I'm not seeing much here. But yeah, this is another one where I was thinking it was uncirculated, but when I really examined it, there was, you know, like a very light fold or something like that, which makes it about uncirculated. But still, for an inflation note, that's exceptional condition. And here's one, Dinslaken. I love the art on this one, and the condition is great. This is 100 billion again, so we're getting up there into the higher denominations, higher catalog values. And this one, I believe, did I write AUUNC? Yes. This one truly is uncirculated. It looks flawless to me. Just a glorious 100 billion mark note from 1923. All of these are over 100 years old now. That's a very rare one, Tinkelsbühl. And then don't miss out on these either. These Darmstadt, these are a German states note that these were not included in the standard catalog. Again, it's just kind of random which ones they put in there. But it is a state, as you see, Landesbank, right? This is issued by the state of Hessen, where I was an exchange student. That's where Frankfurt and Wiesbaden and all those beautiful places are. And these notes are mostly in exceptional condition. I think this one is, yeah, this is uncirculated. This is very nice. This is a very nice note. And these are only going for $1. Don't sleep on these. These are some of the, we're getting into, we got about 15 left on Sunday. So we're getting towards the end of this. Again, if you have any questions, you know, drop them in the chat or contact me at lcaterauctionhouse.com. If you'd like to consign some notes, we're happy to do that as well. Check these out. This one doesn't even have a bid yet. Make sure you don't sleep on these because these are all very, very nice condition. That one's very rare as well. Oh, let's check out the art on this one from Ketvig. You know this one's going to go high when you see art like that. And the condition is very nice as well. This is 100,000 mark from Ketvig. I just love that 1920s art. And again, you can bid on these on eBay. These are all going on right now. In fact, there's only less than 3 days left to bid on this. We've got about 5 more to go here. I think this one's uncirculated as well. Another German states note. Look at that, AUUNC. This one is pretty much flawless. Pretty much, well, we got maybe some handling there. So, it might be like a 63 or a 64 or something like that, but there's no folds here, and it's definitely in that, uncirculated range. I think these would be considered more like age spots or something. But again, normally you're going to find this note with folds and much greater circulation, which we don't see right here. And then Bad Dürkheim, yes, very popular. We have 3 here from Bad Dürkheim. These 2 are issued by the city, and this one by the Bezirk. So something like a county again. So don't sleep on these. These are nice. Very popular. And do we have... no, I think that is the last one. That ends at 12:59. That's when they end. So we've made it through to the end. Thanks so much for checking out the auction. I hope you have a lot of fun if you decide to bid on these on eBay. And again, I hope to hear from you soon. Let me know if you have any questions. And please do contact us if you're interested in consigning, or even if you just have a collection and you'd like to know what it's worth. We offer like a free consultation or evaluation. I'd be happy to tell you what you've got, and then maybe how we could help you sell it. Thanks again for sticking around. Have a wonderful rest of your day.